Like many people, I grew up with a sibling and a video game console, and one thing that situation taught me the hard way was sharing. Whether it was PS1 or 2 or 3, there was never a situation where I could have all those sweet video games to myself, and I have fond memories of almost getting the PS2 thrown away by our dad because we argued about whose go it was so vehemently and frequently. I think developers really understood that this situation was the reality for a lot of families though, and many games allowed there to be harmony between me and my brother through the use of what I'm going to call cooperative or co-op modes. I liked watching my brother play games when I was little, probably because I was fucking terrible at them and had to play the same 5-minute section 100 times, where he was actually old enough to get shit done, and through his gameplay I could see so much more. But I still preferred playing games, and having a co-op mode was the best of both worlds. When I was that age, it felt like almost every game had a co-op mode. I had some weird PS1 games, and they might have been pretty bad even for the time, but I enjoyed them because I was bonding with my older brother. I have genuinely great memories playing The Weakest Link, a game where I knew absolutely zero of the answers to the questions, but could work together to vote off other people instead. And I still get weird flashbacks to hammering X and circle trying to run in track and field. I don't know how I know this, because I swear I've never been near the horrors of an N64 controller, but I have a weird recollection of trying to get the golden gun in split-screen versus mode. Some of my best memories, not just in gaming, but of my entire childhood and even adolescence, are of playing shit like Tekken and Lord of the Rings Return of the King, and Battlefront 2 on Tatooine where everyone gets to be a Jedi all the time. In the PS2 and early PS3 era, a lot of the time games didn't just have a co-op mode separate from the campaign either. Usually the entire story could be played 2-player, which was just the perfect setup for me. Games like Army of Two felt like rather than getting a half-rate experience with a second character, you were playing the game as it was meant to be played. And rather than just being an extra character, it felt great to play as someone with their own personality who was meant to actually be there. Unfortunately though, as the PS3 era continued, multiplayer in games became a much more online affair, and with only one console in the house, it was back to sharing again. It's weird that I could suddenly play games with my friends that lived miles away, or even make friends with people I'd never met before online, but it was so much harder to have a co-op experience with my brother that lived in the same house as me. For almost 10 years, couch co-op was basically dead for me, and even though I played a lot of games which I loved, I never got to have those same experiences of looking at the other half of the split screen to see where my brother was hiding, or accidentally pressing pause to interrupt my cousin's combo in Tekken. It's almost ironic that developers made all these 2-player games in split screen when I had a tiny 20-something inch TV to play them on. And now when TVs are a size that would actually make split screen enjoyable, it almost doesn't exist anymore. Thankfully, in recent times, it feels like couch co-op is becoming a thing again. Not so much in the AAA space, but the waves and waves of amazing indie titles have shown that there is still demand for this kind of thing. There are absolute gems like Human Fall Flat and Necrodancer and Gungeon and Goose Game and Isaac that bring back so many awesome memories for me while I simultaneously create new ones. Franchises like Borderlands have supported the side by always including couch co-op, and Nintendo supports it in so many of their big games. We've even gone so far as to get co-op focused campaigns in games like It Takes Two and A Way Out. I'm always on the lookout for new co-op games I haven't played before, and when I find one I love, it's usually got a one-way ticket to me spending tens, if not hundreds of hours with it. Co-op games aren't created equal, and sometimes it can make the game much harder or more frustrating, like the stupid blue border in 3D World. But on the whole, all this extra support for co-op is really a good sign, and I'd love to see more in the way of co-op campaigns for more action and adventure focused games. I love playing asynchronous co-op in games like Mario Odyssey and Luigi's Mansion, where each player has their own role. It really feels like the second player is a necessity, rather than just an addition that can sometimes get in the way. I especially love how in Odyssey, the player who controls Cappy can have a much more relaxed time and doesn't really need to focus on super tough inputs, while still helping out, defeating enemies and capturing them and getting coins. It seems like the perfect fit for playing a game with someone who's younger, or maybe just more of a casual gamer. That's how I played it, and I had a much better time sharing it with someone else than I would have playing alone. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that I was brought up on couch co-op. Some of my best memories ever are playing games with my friends and family with them sat right next to me, because back then that was the only way to do it. As much as I've had great times playing online, there's no replacement for seeing my brother's face when I win by spamming the same move over and over again in Tekken. It felt like it was touch and go there for a while, and couch co-op could have been gone forever, but long-standing titles alongside Nintendo and a slew of amazing indie titles have brought it back to a point where it looks like it could get bigger than ever, and I'm all for it. Thank you to all the developers that have made co-op classics new and old. Thank you to Isaac for having so many friends. And thank you for watching. Cheers.
Goodbye.